Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, so let me ask you something. Have you ever been told a secret that was so big, so exciting, that you could barely even wait for it to happen? Well, today we're digging into one of the biggest secrets of all time, a promise that was made thousands of years ago with clues hidden right in the stars and even the Earth itself. Think about that feeling, waiting for something amazing. Now just imagine if that wait lasted for thousands of years. Yeah. See, this isn't just any old secret. It's a promise that's been handed down generation after generation, a little whisper of hope that something truly incredible is on its way. And here it is. This is the secret. A promise from Jesus, right from the Bible, that one day he would return. Now, for centuries, this was way more than just a comforting thought. It was like this giant, shining beacon of hope, especially when things got really tough. So this promise of return, it's really been a guiding light all through history. I mean, from the very beginning, people held on to this hope. It was kind of like waiting for the hero's big return at the end of some epic story. That's a great question, right? I mean, if you're waiting for something that important, you'd want some clues, wouldn't you? Some signs to look out for. And guess what? The Bible actually said there would be signs. Huge, unmissable events that would basically tell the whole world, hey, start looking up. So let's take a look at the first giant clue. And trust me, this wasn't some quiet little hint. Oh no, this was a world-shaking event that made pretty much everyone stop what they were doing and pay attention. For a very, very long time, things were quiet. People waited, they passed the stories down, and then in the year 1755, after all those centuries of waiting, the first of these predicted signs finally appeared. 4 million square miles. Just try to picture that for a second. That's an area bigger than all of Europe. That's how much of the Earth was rocked by what we now call the Lisbon earthquake, one of the most powerful earthquakes in recorded history. The power of this thing was just staggering. This was not some local tremor. It was felt all the way from Africa to Greenland. In just 6 minutes, 60,000 people lost their lives. Can you imagine a brand new marble dock, packed with crowds of people, just vanishing into the ocean in an instant? It's really no wonder that the people on the ground, absolutely terrified, were crying out, "The world's in an end. This was it. This was the great earthquake the prophecies had talked about." Okay, but the clues didn't stop there. Not even close. Just 25 years after the Earth shook like that, a brand new sign appeared, this time in the sky. The date was May 19th, 1780. Over in New England, in America, something happened that scientists, well, they still talk about it. It became known as the Dark Day, and it perfectly matched the very next part of the ancient prophecy, that the sun would be darkened. It is so hard to imagine how strange that day must have been. The sun came up totally normal, but then the sky started turning this weird coppery color. By noon, it was so dark people had to light candles inside their houses. The animals were completely confused. Chickens went back to their roosts to sleep, and bats started flying around thinking it was nighttime. It was literally like night had fallen in the middle of the day. One person who was there said it was so dark it felt like every single star and planet had been struck out of existence. The darkness was absolute. And then, that night, when the full moon was supposed to light up the sky, it couldn't. When it finally broke through the gloom, it had this terrifying look to it. It appeared as red as blood, exactly like the prophecy described. So you hear about this giant earthquake, a sky going completely dark, and you might be thinking, wow, that sounds terrifying. But here's the crucial point. These signs weren't meant to cause fear. Think of them more like cosmic alarm clocks. They were reminders to be ready. And that brings us to the real secret here, the secret to watching. But what does being ready or watchful even look like? Well, to figure that out, we can actually look back to the story of another great promise, the very first time Jesus came to Earth as a baby. Turns out, not everyone was ready for that either. On one side, you had the powerful religious leaders. These guys were supposed to be the experts, right? But they were so focused on their own importance, on their rules, and their power that they completely missed the signs. But then, on the other side, you had a group of humble shepherds, just out in the fields watching their sheep. They weren't famous or powerful, but they knew the old promises, and they were watching the skies with hopeful hearts. And because they were watching, they were the very first ones to get the good news from the angels. And you know what? It wasn't just the shepherds. Far, far away, these wise men, scholars who studied the stars, they were watching too. They weren't part of the in crowd, but they were curious, and they were looking for the truth. And that just shows us being watchful isn't about being in some special club. It's about having a heart that's open and hopeful and just paying attention. So the shepherds' secret was actually really simple. First, they knew the promise. Second, they were actively watching for it to happen. And third, because of that, they were ready for the good news. They were ready for the joy. It's a simple but really powerful reminder for us. Just keep your eyes and your heart open. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The shepherds and the wise men saw something absolutely incredible because they were looking for it. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If we try to live with that same kind of curiosity and hope, what amazing things might we see in our own lives just by remembering to look up